Alright, what's up Jens guys? Time for another video. And this is something that I meant to talk about because this would make you understand a lot of the other shit I talk about in videos, and this is one of those videos I should have been making because I mean, especially when it's a subject matter real close that's right in my face. I had people in comments and blogs and other places talk about this. People we talk about this and we joke about it. But yet in some cultures, in some places, people will look at you like you're nuts. But yet at the same time, you can actually debunk people when they accuse you of conspiracy theory and schizophrenia and shit like that, because this kind of shit is one of those things where even people that have a nicer car to you or doing better than you, or you have a few friends here and there, people you know in passing that dressed better than you, like certain ways they're required to dress up at work, or even on TV, certain people that have, like I said, they have nicer cars and all that, admit to this, that have happened to them, their own families do it to you, like gaslighting that eventually leads to gang stalking. Because I explained, because it leads to gang stalking because the gaslighting and what it originates before anybody calls this bunch of what do you call it, schizophrenic paranoid bullshit. For anybody to understand this, what I'm telling you is, okay, it actually, the ways that people act like this actually stems from old school ways, and you can call some of it a form of old fogeyism. People called it old fogeyism, old peopleism bullshit. And it's a double standard thing, you know. And there were some people too, because if you have friends that are both white people and black people, you want to Google this too, and if you've got the right friends that are not the opposite color as you, I see you seriously, like people like me want to know in some cases, that is this type of behavior, this particular type of behavior, is it mostly white people that do it in the older class? You would have to be, I don't know, maybe certain people in black families have a version of this, but a lot of times this one almost seems to me that maybe white people have their own way of doing it. I don't know, but it could stem from, a lot of times it stems from, if you have some area that maybe not in a city or a section of a city or outside a city, that everybody knows each other, and then people with the old ways, and it's passed down. And okay, here's this double standard, the example I'm telling you that why I make videos like this, one of the main things, okay? And this is what makes me laugh my ass off talking about it. Hey, maybe some of you people that never dealt with it are laughing your ass off, like, what kind of shit am I making up? But yet, people that experience it, you're laughing your ass off. Okay, if we all know, like, say our first apartment, it's like having a first apartment without, I don't want to make a big long ass video about it, okay? And a standard, you know, even some of us were dysfunctional or whatever we were. If we weren't jocks in school, we weren't superstars in school, always in a principal office, get kicked out. All right, whatever we were in school, we grew up to be, we know in our own hearts a way that, you know, we had a few friends that were nice to us, that either went to church, we try to get along with everybody. But even with a little bit of us being different, we know have some establishment of normal. Hey, if somebody wants to and they have a good life, whether they go to church or whether they in a certain way, you know, it stems from a thing where, you know, you have some of these family members that, you know, in a sense that when you're old enough, at the same time, everybody says you're supposed to eventually get the fuck out of the house and get on your own. There's people that preach that, both religious and secular. But then there are some families dysfunctional that if you tell the story I tell you, that look at me like I'm nuts, because some of them ain't normal. Like inside closed doors, there are certain groups and cliques, like a certain ism going on now. It looks like almost you get treated like you don't have the right to. And here's what it is this is a way to, you know, how some of us are groomed to be something lesser and put down and downgraded to bring somebody else up. It's like, for example, I'll say this and see if this is any of you guys, right? Because, you know, there's like normal, like I said, people that, but then there's the same token, you know, people will throw in your face too, you certain dysfunctional family members that, yeah, they'll belittle you forever getting your first apartment. Almost like the Danzig song, "Mother tell their children, I'm not to walk my way. You can't keep them in the dark for life." Like it could get conveniently thrown in your face. Why don't you get the fuck out and get a job? You know, before you're young enough to get a job, your first apartment. But you were belittled at the same time, and they'll say another day, threaten to throw you out. Okay, but then say, okay, you finally get your first apartment, right? You know, you're in a dysfunctional environment like that. You could be thrown in your face. You know, you're basically getting in your 20s. You're old enough, you know, reach a certain legal wage. If you have enough of an income and you get a place you can afford, or some people get roommates, yeah, they do. And some people are discouraged out of it, right? But, you know, it starts out with, yeah, it's thrown in your face. Okay, once you, yeah, no, when people get mad, oh, I'll throw you out, threaten to throw you out in the street. But then when you're ready to look for a place, play all kind of games where when you're looking for a place, either belittling you or trying to up what you owe them or whatever. Where other normal families, not that you're owed it, you see other these people, you know, maybe the yuppie families that you went to school with, they're getting married and the family members are co-signing them for loans and buying them cars. So there's, depending on an income level here to different people, there's like some kind of ballpark way of normal, even if you have a house of people that, whether they go to church or whether they're yuppies or whether they're lesser level. But yet, say in my my family, certain family members I had, and they even get their friends to do this. It's like taking along to get to the point. Okay, I'm just trying to establish like a ballpark, couple of different double standards going on there. All right, you get your first apartment and all that. You know, that hypocrisy both going on before you even get it. Different kind of things thrown in your face at people's convenience, right? And meanwhile, yeah, in a certain kind of environments, all the other old people that are sticking up for your parents, no matter how they act, they look down on you no matter how old you are. You're perpetually 10 years old, right? And then you get your first apartment, and all of a sudden, people walk by and say shit like you're some kind of monster, something's wrong with you, or something like you left you're being disrespectful. Oh, you left the house, you left your parents, and where most people's normal ways, you know, they're, you know, encouraged, and you know, some of the yuppies, they're buying their kids cars and helping them with house, which is and even the people that give big money to the organized churches you see on TV that give credit cards to these organized religions. Okay, so there's a bunch of different beliefs, and some people secular pull this game. And even when I was getting my first apartment, you'll have these people that are friends of the family members, like I say, old fogeyism. Oh yeah, get your first apartment, you think you're happy, and they're looking at you like you're 10 years old. Oh, how are you going to pay the bills? And you know, you don't say it, you know, right to them. You're being more polite, but in your mind, you're like, you dumb fuck. I got a job and an income. I was holding a job at the time. You know, the job you were holding for like a while, you know. And it's like, and they're like, okay, just looking at you like you're nuts. And then when you finally get your first apartment, friends and family, these same old people, they're walking by and saying stuff like you're some monster to your family members or whatever. And then, well, me, I had this grandmother that's dead now, that on my father's side, I get my own place for the first time, and she goes, and yeah, some of us would have that uncle that was maybe living upstairs in the grandmother's house, you know, your mother's house, that is like an alcoholic now, and he's either retired for some different reason. Oh, I was keeping your uncle, you were different, or whatever, all these years. Or even if they don't have other family member upstairs living with them for whatever reason, you know, renting a house upstairs or whatever. I'm like some kind of monster. This other grandmother on my father's side is dead. Oh, it goddamn burns me up. You're just giving your money to a stranger for rent, you know, and you should be staying over your parents' house. Literally think you should be staying over your parents' house for the rest of your life. But what gets me about it, you know, okay, here's the rest of it before you, if you've been in this video this long, is, okay, are you looking at me like I'm nuts yet? But here's the other kicker, the hypocrisy of it. These same fucking people, some of them your relatives and friends of relatives, making you into some kind of monster in a story like some people look at me like I'm nuts. The same fucking people they have people, their relatives, cousins or whatever, whether it's friends of these family members, your same fucking age, right? Daughters and whatever, or like their friends and all that, their daughters and all that, like I was trying to tell you, the normal people. These same people that are saying this shit to you, and even relatives, they're talking about maybe your cousin so-and-so, she just got married, and she's on the floor, bragging all kind of, they'll brag about them like all kind of shit that's exaggerated, right? And, oh yeah, I got their first place, or this one's just got out of college and man, got right married. They're in Florida now, and so-and-so is going to co-sign a loan a car and all that. This is what I mean about, this is to try to describe without making a big long conversation about it, right? Because when you first saying it, people looking at you like you're nuts. But the same fucking people, if they believe you, if anybody believes you at all, that you be saying that people be doing this, right? These same fucking people that play these games with you, oh, they're bragging about all so and so. Oh, whoa, what's the difference between them and you? Oh, they're like encouraged. They're not. Oh, what? You're not. What's the difference between them and you? You're not allowed to get your first apartment, or there are some people that start out with nothing. Like, you ever see like the Jeff Foxworthy video? He's talking about the first apartment, the mystery strain on the carpet, and milk crates for end tables, and oh, that couch that's out there that's still in good condition. Oh, as soon as it gets dark, that's mine. Like that. Because you see even comedians talk about the first apartment, how people started out, maybe they might have had roommates, or you started out with hardly next to nothing. And it's considered a comedic and a glorious thing, Even if you did it yourself, if you guys looking at this got stories. Okay, why the fuck do some people do this shit? Where, and some of it still, you got the old fogies that start that shit, that some of them are dying off, but then the ones that were slightly younger, that knew you think this shit. And like I said, I have certain friends, both black and white, and I seem to believe, as far as I know, that only white people do this shit to each other. I have friends that I work with that I think there is some of them, occasionally you get people that do this shit. Like, you're perpetually 10 years old, and no matter how you're old, you're a monster for leaving. And you always were thought from some other people, no matter what walk of life, even if you're a yuppie, like I said, that normal people are supposed to eventually get the fuck out of the house eventually. And then you even fucking hear people about, yeah, they took a big chance and went to Hollywood or something with hardly any dollars in the name to be a star, or took off somewhere to go work somewhere in another state and took a risk and went out there. And people do that, but you got to be careful not to wind up homeless and stuck somewhere in jail, those stories in parentheses. But yeah, this is what this video was about. Why the fuck do certain people do this? As it is, it's hard to, you don't always get to talk about it because people cut you right off of the pass. They look at you like you're nuts unless they have relatives that done it, and you hear them talk about it first, like you get enough of people. That you're not allowed, you're like some kind of monster. You can be 59 years old and 60 years old, and you're supposed, but yet it stems from old fogeyism, because one time when this whole country was young, I guess people did it, and you had mostly rural towns, small towns, that everything was knit and tightly knit. Everybody knew each other, and it was some Baptist church, and sometimes you had some family members that were immigrants from some other country, and the family stuck together, and it's not a bad thing. It was a fucking good thing too. But what I'm saying, before people call me calling that some schizophrenic bullshit, is it stems from, and how things change, and somehow the old school ways, and or like that. But what gets me is, yeah, you weren't, you're not allowed, like I said, and then these same fucking people were talking about maybe your other relatives or the friends of them that are on the side. They're busybodies but they're friends of these people. They're all together bragging about so and so. Like I said, oh, she got married, she's in Florida, and co-signing for a house. They all, and then you want to tell them, and these people will cut you the fuck right off, right at the pass. These kind of people, they fucking do that shit on purpose, because they know that you tell anybody else and make fun of it, they already trying to head you off and make you into some nut for talking about it. But you try to go right to them, they're practically telling you to shut the fuck up, like, and you overhear some of the conversations, and you're like, oh, whoa, yeah, why ain't they some really bad people that, oh man, why ain't you saying that they're such a monster? It really burns me up. They're paying rent to strangers, or maybe they're buying a house and giving money to strangers to buy a house, or do whatever the fuck it is. Or some of them there's a set rule that, oh, maybe you're under certain people's approval. If you're graced with the approval, you get married and you live on credit and all that. I mean, there's some weird ass rules in parentheses that you could make a whole video about that I want to go on about it. But that's what I was trying to nail right there without, trying to get to the point, is like, it's like one of them things where you go in to make a video, it's like a what the fuck, and you try not to repeat the same thing, and it, like, even when a real conversation with a person, say I'm talking to you right now, it's like one of them things that nobody wants to hear, like, but yet at the same time, you hear people talking their shit like that you think nobody wants to hear about out. But, you get people that admit to it eventually that is like that, but it's getting now where it's few and far between enough that people will look at you like you're nuts. You might have some preacher that started out poor that is admitted to having family members that did shit like that. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, that's what I call it. Like, I was trying to nail this kind of a thing for you so nobody thinks it's some kind of conspiracy bullshit. I'm trying to tell you what it originated from, some kind of old ways that are so pretty much dying out, but some people are trying to keep these old ways alive, or they try to keep these old ways alive like they don't care about these old ways, but yet the only reason they try to keep these old ways that are supposed to be dying out still alive is so that they can belittle other people. And because they fucking do that shit on purpose. You wonder if they believe that shit that they're saying themselves. They get together like, oh, we're your buddies, we'll stand by you. You get this a person, you get people here, some of us are groomed to be something down and even a low life or something, or drug addict or whatever, that they start saying it and they want stuff that they want to see. And it's like, you go right, if you even try to tell them, oh, so, look at you, you're bragging about so-and-so is out this, or they're in Florida, they're this and that, which exaggerated stories about them getting married and prospering. And you're like, oh, yeah, you're not angry at them and ridiculing them to their faces like that they're some bad people, that they left their house. Oh, if it's your approval, right? You even try to say it, they like laugh in your face and either change the subject or some kind of, without outright telling you shut the fuck up. Or there are some cases you become a person with a smart mouth that should be like thrown in jail or something, or like when I was younger, there was another thing I did want to make another video about that I want to talk about. It's a whole separate subject that relates to, in that old fogeyism way too, that I remember my grandmother used to say when we were kids. It stems from, before I end this video, I'll say that. It'll probably be one of my next videos. That when the mental hospital not too far from me, Dixmont, used to be still around. The old fogeyism, this relates, but it's a whole new video. I'm not going to say it in this video, but I'll say it real quick. That some of us, I don't know if you had grandparents that said this or whatever facility, but it used to be a thing that our grandparents used to say when we were kids, that, you know how kids just being kids acting silly. One of the favorite things, like one of my grandparents used to say, oh, quit acting so silly like that, or they're going to send you to Dixmont. And then it stems from maybe later on, you're a teenager, right? Or you're in 20s, just because you don't want to go on every single long-ass car trip before you left the house and got on your own. You don't want to do, like, no matter, even when you did some family things, oh, you don't want to do family things, you should go to a psychiatrist. The reason why this shit is said, too, because it stems from an older time, not just in the 60s, there was Charles Manson and all that shit, and there was a hygiene department where it was easier to get people committed in mental hospitals to shut them up. I even had a grandmother that admitted to this. But, well, so if you were watching this and somebody used to say when you were a kid or a teenager back in them days, saying shit like that. There's a reason for that, because back in my grandmother's days, you know, they used to say, oh, don't be acting silly or saying shit like that. They're going to send you to Dixmont, because it was easier to do that. You could, for stupid shit, some people that had these diehard old school Catholic and Baptist people, you were literally thrown in some mental hospital and given in a straitjacket and force fed lithium and stuff where you're drooling, and then it damages your brain permanently, and you're all drooling, and then you're just, yeah, if you're too smart, you want to walk around too cocky, or they think anything anymore, or you can even be physically, athletically better for yourself, you know, and then discreetly, you know, having even friends and being discreetly, you know, knowing, walking around with a cocky look on your face, you don't go by every single damn rule that you're raised, and you can literally be, you were literally abducted, you could literally be abducted off the streets, or whether it's by your punishment for your parents, or later on abducted, people were literally abducted off the streets back when the states were funding these mental hospitals that you see on the YouTube videos that were all shut down in old buildings that people were exploring and exploring with so-and-so YouTube videos, where that they want to bring that back. But so there was like, but before I close this, there was like a thing that was said, like when I saw the video called The Garbage Warrior, where that guy pioneering, you know, housing and all that stuff, that, you know, you got to watch it, called The Garbage Warrior. One of the things he actually said one time is how he grew up. It was in a strict Baptist, old school Baptist family, which know this or that, literally no dancing, no this, no that, all kind of ways. And as soon as he got old enough, he, quote, got out of Dodge. You know what I mean? So there are some beliefs that are actually put out that this is like, there's another video that extra subject matter that connects to this, that it's not all in your head. It's games, it's games that still get played, but it's like, before people make you into some kind of nut, because they do that because for some reason there's taboo you're not allowed to talk about, or you're not going to talk about some conversation with some of your friends and be some asshole that's all you talk about either, you know what I mean? You don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but like I said, it was in mostly these Baptist religions and Catholics that I was almost thinking that that's why it stems from a certain social hygiene thing, that, and the social hygiene rules that were very old ways. That's why in certain cases that you may want to ask some of your friends that are black or other races, and you say if maybe only white people did this shit to each other. Maybe it was because a lot of the old Catholics did pull this bullshit. And the old Baptists, because it was like an old hygiene department. That's why I called it in some cases, and some of your friends, that you try to get, if somebody wanted to volunteer, if anybody else besides white people do it. But it's one of my things where I said, well, yeah, this is the shit white people do to each other to keep them in line and put it down. And this is what it stems from. It was like a type of old fogeyism, and it was very much real that people try to keep it alive for different reasons. You know, they mix it with more other beliefs of today, but what it comes down to is it's like a thing where they'll do that, pull that bullshit on you, but yet, oh, they're not doing it to so-and-so. They're bragging about so-and-so. Oh, man, left the house right away. And man, they're all this stuff. And even brag, you can tell in certain ways, bragging about their prosperity and the money they're making. And the rest of us that, hey, you're supposed to get the fuck out of the house. And it's like, you're some kind of monster for it. And you're oppressing your parents. You're just abandoning them, walking away from them. But yet in the beginning, like I said, some of the people that you're told that to get the fuck out, you know, when they're mad, but you know, they don't, that when you do, you're discouraged from it and have it thrown in your face, you know, and even be told, oh yeah, oh, don't even think that I should save enough of money first. Oh, fuck you, you're not using me, so you can walk right out on me, you know. And in the house, it's like double standards. You'll be discouraged, like I said, too, and then turn around the next thing and, oh, why don't you get the fuck out? But you're not going to get the fuck out and save no money and do it the right way, it's always like a threat of some kind, you know, in some dysfunctional families, you know. There's like a reason for that, you know. So that's, yeah, that's pretty much like how that is.